Is it just seen as a career break, or is it considered a career risk? People can take breaks for all different types of reasons.
What's the difference between a career break and a career pause? Don't leave a toxic workplace mic dropping.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Leave it on a good note. Hold yourself back from
throwing stuff.
Throwing stuff or
throwing stuff around, breaking stuff. Taking a career risk or break damages your CV. No
buts. Welcome back, guys, to another Digital Cheesecake podcast. So today, this is our first at-home session.
Yeah,
with myself and Sarah.
Sessions. Yeah.
So we started to branch out. So over the course of each month, we'll be doing 2 in-studio recordings. Myself, Sarah, and Ellie talking with some amazing guests, either e-commerce owners or digital e-commerce directors. And then we are also going to be talking about our chosen specialisms. So myself and Sarah, we come from a recruitment and careers background. So we're going to be talking about everything recruitment careers. And Ellie and her sister are going to be talking everything about marketing, e-commerce, and events. And the reason that we're doing this, we want to make sure that we're giving you all the good juicy stuff which is happening every single month, and
exactly.
Super excited about doing this.
Yeah, it's our first one, so it'll be interesting. So give us feedback, and any pointers are completely welcome. But we will be talking about things that I think come up a lot in our daily conversations with different candidates, clients, everyone in between. Of course, you know, being in recruitment, we do get a lot of those questions because careers and work pretty much takes a majority of everyone's lives. So, you know, we want to make sure we're giving some good advice. And yeah, this is a great way to start. So I think today, what's our first topic? Our first topic that we're going to be speaking about are career breaks. So Is it just seen as a career break, or is it considered a career risk? And this comes to us quite a lot in our conversations. People can take breaks for all different types of reasons. So we will go into some of that today as well, and what the common myths are about career breaks, and you know what that would look like to hiring managers, but also recruiters who are looking at your profile, your LinkedIn profile, and also your CV. So I think a good thing to kind of talk about, or to start off with, is career breaks and how often we're actually seeing them at the moment, because we're seeing it a lot, and I think some are forced and some are maybe more voluntary. Exactly. So if we talk about maybe some of the key reasons why people take a career break.
I mean, what are you saying in terms of that? I
think, so some of the key ones are things like parenthood. I mean, I know people will argue that it's not a break, but in terms of the wider career and physical, being in the office and being in a 9-to-5, it's a break from that. Caring responsibilities, so that could be anything, but having that, and sometimes that can often come on pretty suddenly, I'd say. Sometimes parenthood is a bit more planned and, you know, might be expected, but caring responsibilities can come on quite suddenly. Traveling is a big one, and actually at all levels we're seeing. So it's not just maybe at junior level or entry level, but we're actually seeing senior digital leaders say, do you know what, I want a few months to just leave, to leave the country and have a bit of a break and go traveling.
Chill the beans, do something totally different. You've got to think about the market conditions at the moment. So current market conditions, I think some companies are doing really well. Luxury and beauty are 2 sectors. One of them, which is a bit more challenging, is retail and fashion. And we're seeing situations, and we've said this in the podcast loads of different times, that every day, every week, we're still getting people who are being made redundant. And then also, as companies are trying to increase profit, maybe they're in a retail business where the retail side is down and D2C is up. There's a lot of pressure on those D2C individuals to make up for, say, some of the retail stores which aren't performing as much as D2C, particularly within high margin areas like beauty, for example. So there are people who are just literally stretched, working all hours. You know, I speak to some people and they're working 10 hours, 12 hours a day.
Yeah, I
might
agree.
be working weekends.
Yeah.
So they're at the cusp of burnout or just kind of being over it. They've reached director level and just thought, do you know what? I need a break.
Yeah.
So we've spoken to people who've just thought, I'm going to take 6 months off to go traveling. And if they've got good enough experience on their CV, if they've got good enough KPIs and achievements, they'll be able to come back and pick things up relatively quickly. So there are people who are taking voluntary time off.
Yeah.
And I would say the two biggest areas are those who are made redundant and those who just want time off for themselves, spend time with their family, go and experience the world.
Yeah. I think that also comes out, if we were to look at the more senior level, I think the traveling part, if we were to take traveling, because you have a reason why they might be in a position where they would need to take a break.
Yeah.
So as you said, I think the biggest thing is normally redundancy, or they're between, that's the big one. That's the main one. They know at a senior level, it's going to take longer if you're not freelancing already or, you know, a kind of seasoned contractor, you know, already it's going to take some time. It could take 3 to 6 months to get another role if we're talking permanent, and also even if we're talking about consultancy or you know, kind of consultancy, freelancing. A lot of people do just start their own business within that time. We've seen that with different digital leaders as well that have been made redundant, and they think, actually, rather than me just jump into another perm position, I'm going to start another 100%. Business. So we've seen someone who started a hospitality business rather than going straight back into digital. So that was one example. We also have spoken to digital leaders who go traveling after being made redundant. And I think that can often happen because maybe they've dabbled in trying to look for a job, realised the market as it is now, and actually this is going to take me some time, and this is probably the opportune moment to actually just take a break and go travel. So those are often, and then, well, the other thing that we actually haven't mentioned as well is, you touched on it, burnout, so mental health and well-being, and I think those can be short to long periods of a break, but equally important. So, you know, those are all the different kind of reasons where people take a break. I think where it's important, or what we need to look at, is what is a career break and what is a career pause. So why are you taking a break, and why do you feel that actually you don't want to go straight into another position?
What's the difference between a career break and a career pause?
Well, a career pause, you could do, a lot of people go into studying, or they want to get a master's, or they want to get a different qualification.
People do MBAs or that sort of thing. Exactly.
So that could literally be a pause, and I think with that, you'll still have something to put on your CV. I think when we're talking about a career break and what it looks like to recruiters and hiring managers, I would say, and we can go through the different reasons, it really depends. Sorry, our dog is wanting to play right now. There's really, I think it's not actually about the break, it's about how long it is. And I would say that is the key decider as to whether people sort of stop on your CV and think, oh, hold on a minute, what's gone on there, to, oh, okay, you know, not really paying attention to it, and they move on and you get represented. And I actually think there's a fine line between that.
You just can't leave it for too long. So what I liked about what you said, a lot of people are finding themselves. So they've either reached burnout, or they've reached a point where they're struggling to find something like a new permanent role. So what they do is set up a business, consult. They might start fractional marketing. Have 3 clients per week doing 1 day here, 2 days there. And then that ends up escalating into their own marketing agency or consultancy. So a lot of people are going down that route, which is fantastic because that is a whole new career altogether. You know, business owner, dealing with whole different dynamics.
Dealing with different problems, different issues.
Work from abroad. Obviously, it's hard because you're having to do the work as well as business develop the work as well.
Yes, which is different. And not everyone likes that either. I think
not many people like that.
I speak to people who have gone freelancing and they're like, yeah, I want a permanent role now because
I'm over it.
I don't like bringing in my own business. And that's fine. But I think it is good to try it.
Exactly.
It's good to try
just to see if you can do it, especially when you're in that, you know, you have the opportunity to do so. And then if you've been out for a pretty long time, it is going to be very difficult, especially if you're going to be against peers in recruitment processes who are on a 3 months notice, who are employed, still doing the work, up to date. And as we know, marketing evolves all the time. So if somebody's in the doing commercial stuff, trading sites, marketing, compared to somebody who's been out of work for a year, the question from clients is going to be why, and then we've had it ourselves, why is this person out of work and why have they been out of work for a year? So they'll start asking questions.
What do we think? Because I was thinking about this because I was making a note of what are the time frames that then start to pose questions. So I think, and it can get really, really tricky because it really depends what's gone on during that time. I think if you're doing a thing where the normal in the UK, normal maternity leave is about a year that people take.
12 months.
12 months, that's generally seen as understood in the UK. It obviously differs very wildly between different countries, but in the UK, 12 months is standard. And it's standard in terms of your skills still being fairly up to date and with no expectation that you will be trying to keep your skills up to date within that 12-month period. If you have taken it for traveling, I often think a year can be seen as almost like a little bit different. So if we're looking at...
What do you mean by different? What, a negative or...
Maybe not necessarily a negative, but okay, you've been traveling for a year. Have you been doing, then there's more of an expectation that you have actually been doing something else to keep your skills fresh. Or if it's actually because of redundancy, I think 3 to 6 months, if you're a senior leader is a fair, okay.
It's in the eye of the beholder, of the interviewer, because you're dealing with loads of different people with different opinions, different perceptions. So some people will not be cool interviewing people who've been out of work for 12 months or even 6 months.
But that's if they haven't had a particular reason for being off or they haven't done anything else, because I think it's really important in that break, dependent on why you've got to have a good reason, but in that break that you've displayed that you are actually trying to keep your skills fresh.
I think you're right there. I think some people won't mind if someone's been traveling for 12 months, and some people won't even care if they haven't been keeping up to date with marketing trends and e-commerce, because they can just put it down to 12 months of traveling. But 12 months of traveling versus 12 months of job searching is totally different. And we would have the same questions, we're interviewing somebody. So if you've been out of work for 12 months, have you not been doing like voluntary work or just like helping a local business to, I don't know, to try and create awareness or create more business whilst you're trying to find something? And I'm a huge advocate, just because it helps a lot of graduates, is to give a lot of free work whilst you're in that period of trying to find paid work. And I think that is a big thing that you just need to... what people need to think about, because at the moment the job market is very competitive, particularly at a senior end. It is more fluid at manager and an exec level, but I think people need to think about giving as much free work as possible in situations when you're out of work and struggling, to then close that gap on your CV so that there are no questions asked by the interviewer, and then also people will give you paid work on the back of it.
Yeah, I think it also depends. Like, obviously, you don't want to give people hours and hours of free work, but it's about reaching out to different companies, especially as you mentioned, like local companies, and saying, I can audit X, Y, and Z for you. Do you need this? I've noticed this is missing from your website. Let me delve into it. This is my background. And kind of trying to get a few different pieces of work in that time. And also within digital, things change month on month. Like Google have so many different updates, and there's different platforms coming out, and I think if you don't have a way to keep yourself in the know, 12 months is very quickly going to look out of date if you haven't done anything in that time.
But so going to events, joining communities will help you plug in those gaps. Yeah. Yes,
exactly.
So listening to what peers' problems are at the moment, what's happening within marketing, all the changes that are happening online, and then how people are actually performing will help you also create new connections that you can actually find jobs through other connections, but also just plug that knowledge gap. So I think that's really key. But we've seen loads of people start up their own marketing businesses. That's really cool. But we've also seen people wait 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to find a job. But we went over everyone who's in a senior position since the beginning of the year, and the majority have found roles. So with people,
which is great, because we're 6 months in. So
with people who are looking, it's a matter of be patient. It's a matter of when you will find that role, and it's easier said than done, but people do end up finding something, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. So I think it can be a risk, but it really depends. And I think it's the level of time, and that it depends, I know, is often not like the best answer, but it depends on the length of time and the reason for the break. So if you just want a pause, and maybe you want to try something else, or you want to try freelancing, I think 3 to 6 months is a fair time. If we're getting to the 12-month mark and your answer for this gap is basically job hunting, in all honesty, that's not going to be good enough for a hiring manager or a recruiter. They are really going to have and I would do the same. They would have expected you to have done something.
Exactly.
So it could be anything, but even if you just say, I've been freelancing on and off, I've had a couple of clients that I've been working on and off during that period, anything like that is really a must if we're looking up until the 12 months. Even within 6 months, I think if you get past the 3-month mark, that's it. Let's get going with some kind of freelance or offering your services out, upskilling, you're in networks, you're talking to people, because these questions are going to be asked by a recruiter and a hiring manager. What have you been doing?
But it shows the traits which aren't on the CV. Intuition, thinking outside the box, being proactive. So when times are tough and the market is very competitive, where the clients have the power at the moment, it's all those little things that will either make or break you getting the role. So if the personality traits, some of these companies that we're recruiting for are turnaround projects, and what they're looking for is the skill set, but they want people who are proactive, who will go the extra mile, who will do things that maybe not a normal candidate would do. And when you're out of a role, you want to be considered for every good role out there, whether that's with a big conglomerate or with a startup growth business or a turnaround project, which we're doing a lot of. And those personality traits are very, very key. And if you're searching for a role and you're doing it every day, 7 hours a day, you do want a bit of a break. So why don't you just do 2 hours or half a day of work for somebody else for free? Obviously, no one wants to work for free. It's the most painful thing ever, but it helps you plug that gap on your CV. It might introduce you to somebody who will give you a good reference. So when you are interviewing and find a role, they'll give you a really good reference to actually obtain that role. So I think it's a tricky one, but also a very straightforward one at the same time. Everything's easier said than done. It's a very challenging marketplace at this moment in time. We don't want people out of a role. We'd rather be changing people in and out of a role from one perm role to another. But
and you always say as well that a lot of hiring managers will not necessarily prefer candidates who are in a role, but
that's what I was thinking of then.
But a lot of people who are already in a role do then get another role. And that could be for many different reasons, obviously, that they are just the better candidate. But at the same time, it does look attractive that this person is completely up to date with all their skill set, experience and knowledge. But also it's fine to take a break. But yeah, it's just really important, because I think if we were to look at maybe the last time that someone was actually hired with, I think they were on, you know, a kind of maternity leave, and they were looking after their child or children. But this was, I think, more than 1 year. It was almost like 2, maybe even longer than 2 years, almost 3 years. And they were able to get a role, but it was during COVID. So it was a very kind of strange time anyway. But I can't really think of another example since then. I don't know if you've got any examples of like a really long break that then they were able to get into a role.
12 months. And then usually it's people who are going from one sector to a completely different sector.
Right.
Because they're competing against, say it's a fashion candidate.
Yeah, fashion, beauty,
they'll get something which is like startup utilities or startup homeware, I don't know, something different.
And then you may have to build back up to get back into the industry that you want.
Potentially. And that company is looking at the value of you. So they're seeing, oh, we can get this person's been out of work for 12 months. And there is that value exchange.
Yeah.
The person can get a paid role, plug the gap, eventually work to go back into the sector that they want to work in, or a role which they actually want to work in. And then the client gets a really good candidate who's out of work. But I think there is a value of being out of work as well at the moment, because we're seeing a lot of mat leaves.
Yeah.
And we're having a lot of clients say, we don't want anyone on 3 months notice. We need to hire people who are immediately available or on 1 month
that's
max.
true.
So
yes, that's true.
there is the power of being immediately available as well.
Yeah.
To get mat covers and things like that.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. Like a massive power at the moment, because I think most people are asking for like immediate starts almost.
Literally everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
And then we want the best people to go after the whole market, but some clients are saying, well, just discount everyone who's on 3 months or 2 months. So, but it's in the power for those roles. It's in the power of those who have been made redundant or coming back from holiday or coming back from a period of leave. So,
when do you think like career risks or career breaks don't necessarily work? I mean, obviously we said being out of work for like 12 months, but if someone was to think, right, okay, I want to change industries completely, I want to get out of this and I just need some time off, what happens
I think exactly what you said. I think that's fine because people do have time off. So people have time off for loads of different things. So they have like a death in the family, or they have young kids, or they've just been beasting it for like 10 years and they want the summer off.
Yeah.
And there are those individuals who've been working 10, 12 hours a day for a fast moving business. And they're just like, you know what, I'm over it now. I just want the summer and then I'll pick something back up again.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah, we see a lot of that actually.
But exactly what you said, 3 to 6 months, anything longer, people will start asking you uncomfortable questions at interview.
I agree.
And it will be a lot harder. So that's why your network is key. Doing a really good job wherever you go. Just keep doing a really good job so you've got good, tangible figures to go into interviews with, and you've got past bosses who can back you. Yeah,
build up your network so that when you are ready to start looking, it's not going to be like you're basically starting from ground zero and it's going to be a really painful search. You know, in the back of your mind, you can take time off because you built a really strong network while you've been employed.
Yeah.
And also just throughout your career, you've built up a network and you can just tap into it as soon as you can, like when you've taken a break. I'm just trying to think of other reasons why you might want to take a break. Starting a new business, this is one that we have seen maybe a couple of times where people will take a break because they think, you know what, I'm done with this, want to start a new business. they kind of do it for maybe a year and a half, but it doesn't really go as planned, and then they want to get back into a permanent role within their previous industry. In my experience, I would say that hiring managers will still question this, because they will want to know what's happened with the business.
What went wrong?
Because, you know, they want to trust that you can actually bring good knowledge into the business and you're going to help them succeed.
Yeah.
So have you seen any...
I think it's everything's just such in the eye of the beholder, isn't it, in terms of the interviewer? So
yeah.
I think one...
But there are some like key patterns, aren't there, from what we see? Yeah.
Like one interviewer might look at that and go, well, this person's super proactive. They set up their own business. They've given it a shot. It's not done that well, but in previous perm roles, which they've held, they've done fantastic. And if there's a good reason, like not so good product or wrong timing, or investors have pulled the money or anything like that, there's a good legitimate reason, some interviewers will be okay. But some interviewers will be like, why is this person left a business to set up their own business and also failed?
Yeah.
We're going to be their fallback. So
yeah, exactly.
That's the
and
thing.
They might do it again. They might just think,
exactly.
I'm fed up with this and I want to go off now again. Yeah.
And is this person going to carry on trying to get it off the ground whilst they're employed?
Yeah, that's a good
and then
point.
If it does hit that pivotal point where it's a success, we're going to be left in the lurch again. So, but again, everything's just with the interviewers and what they're comfortable with. For me, I can see both sides of the story. I like the fact that somebody set up the business entrepreneurial, particularly at the moment. People want that entrepreneurial spirit.
They do, yeah.
But at the same time, be thinking, I don't want this person leaving if they're going to end up really good.
Yeah, exactly. So again, have really good examples of why you are now ready to devote yourself to that company to make it a success. And with your other business, just really think of how you're going to not necessarily spin it, but explain what didn't go quite so right.
Yeah. Or
maybe, you know, what your results were and that it was a success, but it just wasn't the right time to kind of continue with that particular business. So there are always different reasons. But we have seen that a few times as well.
Yeah.
We're not talking about freelancing, but it might be like setting up your own agency or setting up a product, or, you know, setting up an online website.
Yeah.
Service, business, product, etc. So any other common myths around taking a career break, or
I think from what I find, it's just everyone ends up finding their place and finding their role eventually and finding something that they're keen on. It's just a matter of when. The only hard thing to see is that there are some really good people out there who do search for a long time.
Yeah, because it's that competitive and there are that many great people out there looking for a role or wanting to move on.
I wouldn't say there are any myths. It's just make sure you've got a good network. You're always consistently doing a good job, so you're not second guessing yourself. Don't leave a toxic workplace mic dropping, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Leave it on a good note. Hold yourself back from...
throwing stuff.
Throwing stuff. Or leaving
stuff around, breaking stuff.
Or like hitting walls or anything.
Yeah,
but
don't do that.
Leaving in a bad way, because you want to rely on that on a reference.
Yeah.
But it's easier. Everything's easier said than done.
It is, but maybe even if it kind of ends up not so great, you can still maybe come to an agreement with that employer.
Yeah.
Like, look, we both agree this ain't working. But can you give me a good reference?
Exactly.
And have that agreement so that works for the client because, you know, they know that you're going to be respectful-ish about them, and vice versa. So even if you hate each other, if you can just come to agreement that you are going to be respectful when it comes to references, that's a good end. But if you, as you said, just mic drop right out the gate, you're going to be asked questions. You're going to get a hiring manager querying that previous employer, and they will find out, and they 100%. will delve into it. So I think, yes, hiring managers, if we look at key takeaways, the first thing, the point is that a gap does not automatically mean that your CV is going to get rejected by a hiring manager or recruiter.
Exactly.
That's number one point. Number two is about having a really good explanation for the gap, making sure that's on your CV, on your profile, and also that you put on your CV what you have been doing in that time.
Yeah.
I have been doing X freelancing. I have been upskilling. I have been doing a MBA. I have been doing a different course. I've been doing this digital course, and list it on your CV. Make sure it's really, really clear. So recruiters, hiring managers are looking for explanations, not necessarily like an absolutely crystal perfect CV.
Yeah.
You shouldn't hire a career break is another thing.
You shouldn't hire.
Shouldn't hide a career break on your CV.
No, leave it on there.
Yeah, leave it on there. Give the dates. Be really clear, open, clear about what you've been doing. But yeah, it's definitely a myth that you need to hide a career break.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Also, don't change dates on your LinkedIn or your CV, making out that you've been at your previous company longer than you actually have, because that will also be discovered at reference time. And also because the industry is so close network, it just takes one conversation for someone to be like, oh no, that person was actually
Sometimes I send a CV and 10 minutes later I've spoken to Joey's previous boss and he said he's amazing, or I spoke to Joey's previous boss and he told me not to touch him with the barge pole.
Yeah.
So, and that's like 10 minutes after sending a CV.
Yeah, exactly. It can be that quick. So, people know stuff.
Exactly.
It's one thing that I would say. And then another myth, employers only value continuous employment. No, it's just about, can you explain, can you show that you've got relevant skills, that you know what's going on in the industry, that you've upskilled, that you've got a good network, and you have been doing things to make sure that you know exactly what's going on in the industry. Because if you do get two candidates, you have one candidate, if you get one candidate that's sort of, in a role and can literally whittle off everything that's going on in the industry, and you've kind of been off for 6 months and not be able to even, you don't even know what's going on, then we clearly know what's going to happen there with the interviews. But if you can actually talk about everything that's been going on in the industry, any updates, then you'll be a lot more of a contender, I'd say, for that job.
Exactly.
And then last myth, taking a career risk or break damages your CV. No, but it depends for how long that is, and it depends what it's for as well.
Exactly. I think we covered a lot there.
Yes. So if there are any other questions that you have just on, your length of time, obviously don't panic if you are looking for a role and the months are rolling on as they do. Get in touch with us and we can kind of maybe advise as to what you need to look at next. Maybe it could be literally tweaks on your CV, tweaks on your experience, access to different networking communities and events and things like that. So there are quite a few different things that you can delve into before panic mode,
Exactly.
I'd say.
Yeah, if you need any advice, guys, reach out, listen to some more of our podcasts moving forward.
Yes, Digital Cheesecake. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Instagram.
We're trying to increase our followers on YouTube at the moment. So if you are watching and you aren't following us on YouTube, give us a follow.
Subscribe.
Like one of our videos, comment, send to a friend. That would be really appreciative.
Yes.
And if you have any questions or queries about today's topic, get in contact with me or Sarah on LinkedIn.
Definitely. Send this over to a friend that has maybe been made redundant as well. And this will let them know that you are thinking of them.
Love that.
See you next time.
See you later.